May I now request my colleague to introduce Professor Biswas to all the participants. Madam, Emma Beka, madam.
So, madam, you are in mute. You are in mute.
Good morning, one and all. Good morning, Dr. Narayana Biswas. He is a professor of organizational behavior at the Institute of Rural Management, Anand, IRMA. A career spanning over 3.5 decades has been involved in technique, teaching, training, and research. The primary focus of his research has been improving the functioning of organizations involved in development of rural people. Additionally, he is interested in group dynamics and managerial effectiveness in organizations. He has published over 40 research papers and case studies in national and international journals and book chapters. Apart from teaching course in an area of behavioral sciences, he has consulted a large number of national and international organizations. As a trainer, he has conducted more than 200 training programs in the area of group dynamics, executive, effectiveness, and leadership. He has conducted training programs in Australia, Afghanistan, and Ethiopia. Presently, he is the chief editor, International Journal of Rural Management, published by SAGE. He is on the editorial board of Community, Work, and Family, Taylor and Francis Journal, Amity Journal of Management Research, and Parikalpana. The research journal published by KIIT School of Management, Bhubaneswar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please, I'd like to request Dr. Biswas to take over the session, and I'm sure it is going to be very, very insightful as well, because last time that was a great session and we're looking forward to you. Sir, please, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Panda. Thank you, madam, for a wonderful introduction once again. And I'm very happy that I am here with you all, and it's a great opportunity for me to interact with you. And I would request all the participants that three things that I would like to say at the beginning. One is that please feel free. Don't start presenting. I will do the presentation, but feel free to ask questions. You can mute yourself, unmute yourself, and then mute. Once your question is over, you can please mute yourself. But please stay there, and please ask questions. You can use the chat box also for questions, so don't hesitate. And I want this whole session to be interactive, and because I am not used to, as I have told you yesterday, that I am not used to talking to a camera. Though I am most of the time, all of us are doing talking to camera, and it's not a very pleasant feeling. We are humans, and we need human faces. When we look at the human faces, that's why in my class I request all my students, and you must be doing that because all of us are teachers, students to switch on their video so that I can see their face. But it's not always possible. I understand that because of data limitations, bandwidth limitations, it is not possible. Now let me take a feedback. Is it audible? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's whenever it is not audible or it is not clear, please immediately intervene. Like when madam was speaking, I saw, I don't see your name, sir. It is written HOD S and H, but it is thankful to you that I was just waiting to see who first talks, who first gives the feedback that madam, you are not audible, and you did it. and I'm really thankful for that. I request all of you to follow this. It's a very good example that has already been set. And another thing, it's good that you have your designations here and all that. If you can put your name, I don't know how to do it personally, but if you can put your name, it will be easy. For then we can always talk, and I will know your name, and you would know mine, and we can have a good introduction. And I would request, if possible, if data permits, your data bandwidth, everything permits, please switch on your video. It's a very pleasant feeling when I see the video. But I know, I understand that there will be a problem of bandwidth in some cases, few cases. And if there is no other problem, no other issue, please switch on your video. At least you can see, I can see you. You are able to see me, but most of the time I'm not able to see you. And I do not know what is happening in your mind, what sort of effect it has, whether you have understood or it just goes by. So my request is, if possible, if your bandwidth permits, please switch on your video. I just want to see your face, that's all. Thank you so much, and let us start with this session, and I will start the presentation here. The only problem here I see, yes, okay, present now. Window, your entire screen, a window. Okay. Is the presentation visible to you?
Not visible, sir.
No, sir.
It is not.
Sir, yes, sir.
Then now, is it visible to you?
Yeah, it is coming, sir. It is coming.
Very good, excellent. So I'm also figuring it out what to do, how to do things, and we need. That's why in this online version, we need a constant feedback. Okay, you know, we when we look at things, all of us know, we intuitively understand that there is an individual difference of looking at things. Okay, and this individual difference, I look at things in certain ways, other people look at things certain ways, and if you look at all conflicts in this world, let us focus on conflicts, and conflicts ranging from in the family, say between husband and wife. Any couple here, anyone who has never had, and please feel free to share your opinion, who never had any conflict with the spouse? All those, I'm talking about those who are married or has a partner. Anyone here who never had a conflict? I think it's impossible to find any couple, if you are not just married for a day, even if in a day's marriage also it is possible, that there will be conflict, there will be differences of opinion. Okay. So, but despite those,
it's a part of happy marriage. Conflict is a part of it.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you. And yeah, it is that all sorts of conflicts. Now, that's a family level. Then we have at a group level, at workplace. At workplace, we get into conflict. At workplace, we get into conflict. At when you go for shopping, maybe you have some conflict with a shopkeeper, some strong bargaining occurs. But you see, or at a national or international level, across groups there are conflicts. Why do you think there is so much of conflict around? What are the reasons? Any input?
Difference of opinion, sir.
Difference of opinion, great. Difference of opinion, yes, sir. Anything else?
Difference in perception.
Yeah, difference. The way we look at things, the way we interpret this world. Perception is nothing but the way we interpret the inputs that we receive. So the way we organize and interpret, I'll talk about organization and interpreting. And secondly, as an individual also look at it. I'll just tell you this. When I was a young, I grew up in a place in a town called Khatak in Odisha, and there we lived in a particular place. And in my memory, when I was growing up, now then we left that place when I was maybe 14 years old, and after that I had not gone back to that place. And in my memory, we had a huge football ground. In my memory, there was a huge house in the middle of a huge, land, a plot of land. It was maybe 3, 4, 5 acres land, and there are several houses in the middle. And they all looked big when I was. But then, 3 years back, I visited the same place. It so happened that I had to go to the town, and then suddenly one evening, afternoon, it occurred to me, oh my God, I can just walk down to that place. And maybe I was visiting that place after 40 years. After 40 years, when I visited, 40, 42 years after that I visited, and I was there in that place, everything looked very small. Everything looked very, should I say, it was not as clean as I thought. It was dirty. What do you think has happened? That field is there. The football where you used to play, the football is still there. The pond is still there. But all of them, all these things look very small, unkept, and all that. What do you think might have happened? Yes. Sandhya, madam, Sandhya, madam, please.
Sir,
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Sir.
sir, that place was divided into small constructions, and our view was squeezed, and therefore that widerness, and therefore, as sir, I can cite one example. When the houses get constructed, roofs are not put on. At that time, the room is very small because the sky is over our head, and when construction is over, the room become very big. And I think that may be the
No,
possibility.
I've just put yourself in that situation. After 40 years, I'm visiting the place. Now the place looks much smaller than what I had thought when I had seen it when I was young.
Yes, sir. That bigger open space was splitted into small
Sir, may
areas.
I?
Yes, Nandini. I
Yeah.
hear.
Sir, when we are children, at that time, our perception of the world is so small because we have not been exposed to a lot of things, particularly in terms of it could be a house, it could be a locality, anything. So everything we see has a broader view in terms of what we perceive. But as we grow up, we have seen a lot of the world. We have probably lived in or visited larger houses, colonies. So what I am visiting now is seeming to be constricted.
Absolutely. That when we are growing, like for example, as you very rightly said, that when we were young, we had not seen the world, and we because we are young, it looks big. A field looks big because my steps are also small, so it is relative. And now that I have seen world, that Nandini says, now I have gone to other places. So that place which actually used to look very big is no more that big. And why I use this analogy, is to tell you that our own perception of things go on changing as we grow up, as we are growing. So within the individual, perception is not something that is static. You are not born with it. But problem is, and when I was alluding to those conflicts, the problem is that we look at the world in certain ways. I'll show you something and then I will explain it. Just a minute. Do you see this picture? All of you see this, look at this picture.
Yes.
Just a minute. Chat box. I need to find out the chat box. Yes. Okay. In the chat box, I am placing paste. But how do I paste it? Okay. I have pasted something in the chat box, a link, and just click that link, and you can go to the site, and you will have to say whether it is you see a young woman or an old woman, or you see both.
It is asking for permission, sir. We are not able to view that.
Yeah.
Are you able to see the chat in the chat box?
We are not able to open the link,
Open.
sir.
We cannot open, sir.
You could,
It's asking for the permission.
it is asking for permission.
Permission, sir. Permission, sir.
Sir, we are able to see the screen only, the image you have sent.
No, it is. Just a minute. Let me. Okay. Permission. Anyway, I think some other time I will do this. I thought
Sir,
but you
sir,
can give. Yes, yes.
Sir, they can write on the chat box itself. No problem, na,
You
sir?
can write. You can write in the chat box. Yes, yes, yes. That's great. Okay.
It is.
I now I see the response is very good. It's coming in. I see. I'll just read it out. Old woman, young lady, young baby with old woman. Someone says baby, old woman, young lady, young lady, young lady. Both can be seen. Some people see young, young, young. I see. You can, and this for everyone, so all of you can see. Do you see that the difference? There's a difference in what we are, the way we look at it. It's a simple picture. An angle old woman that I don't understand, but young lady, yes. The question is whether you are able to see young lady, old lady, or both. So, as all of you by now would have known, Susma madam, what yes means? What do you see? Old woman, young woman?
I am able to see both, sir.
Okay, so just
Young girl turned that side, old lady looking down.
Yeah, if you see both old woman, young woman, it's fine, no problem. The point, the learning point is this. First of all, there will be individual differences. There will be differences in the way we look at the world. But there's a problem. Problem in this way of looking at the world. The problem is this, that those who see young women first, that means they don't see the old woman, you see only the young woman. Are they capable of showing the young woman to those who do not see the young woman? Are you getting my point? Say you see the young woman. For example, let me check one person. Dr. Mahesh, G. Mahesh. G. Mahesh, sir, are you there? Mahesh, sir, are you there? Are you able to hear me? Okay, I think I did not get any response from there. Let me pick someone else. Uh, M. Hepzibah Malela. Are you madam? I guess.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, madam. Good morning.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. Uh, and you have seen young lady, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So now I request you find it from the chat box. You would know that some people have seen the old woman.
Yes,
And
sir.
some people, okay, there are some people, there are few, but of course, there are some people who have seen old woman. Uh, uh, just let me just in between, let me check with, there are some no's. Mr. Dutt, Subrat Dutt, you have said no. No means? Mr. Dutt?
One minute.
No.
Old, old first, in our first observation, it seems old. And when I observe it seriously, it is a baby.
The baby.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
don't see the
Sorry, young,
yeah.
old and then young.
You have seen the young woman. So that means you have seen both. Uh,
Yes,
Dr. Anita, you have said now. What does that mean?
yes, sir.
No, no, I'm not to you, Dr. Subrat. I'm talking to Dr. Anita. Anita. R. Anita. Uh, okay, maybe I'm not able to reach her. R. Anita. Ma'am, are you there? Okay, I'm not able to reach her. Now visible. Okay, okay. So, Madam Malela, sorry, is that your name? Na? I am Hepzibah Malela.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
sir.
just can you just show? I just put. Can you show the young woman to the participants? Whether all participants are able to see the picture?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So please show the young woman that you see to all participants. Young women, those who do not see the young woman. Ma'am, please go ahead. How do you show? Okay. Yeah.
So the front part, the front part is it shows like a young lady. The haircut.
Haircut.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The haircut, the black part and all. So the front part that shows a young lady with a haircut, her chin,
Yes.
her neck, her face, a long face, protruding face, elongated face.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Her eyes. Yes, sir. Her eyes.
Yes.
Yes, her ear side.
Yeah. This is the.
Yes. So from I like from this part, I can make out that it is her neck.
Okay. Yeah. She's wearing
Yes,
a
sir.
necklace here.
Yes,
Necklace.
sir. From this all. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think most of you see the young woman.
Yes, sir.
That's I think. I can I get to Dr. Subrat Dutt? Professor Dutt.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
can you show the old lady that you see to all others who only see the young lady?
Actually, sir, during this discussion, I feel that this black haircut and race on shoulder parts are the jackets or something else. Otherwise, nose, cheek, and bunch of something. Actually, now it feels that it's only old lady.
Yeah, my request to you, Professor Dutt, is to
Yes,
show to others what you see, that old lady. Huh? So because
Okay.
most of the participants are only seeing the young lady, I would
Okay.
like
Okay.
to show the
Okay.
old lady to all
Okay,
the
sir.
participants.
Okay, sir. The cheek, that nose and cheek, the painter has painted it just like in regular days. It is less of fat, and therefore it becomes a sign of oldness. Only because of that, I feel that it is. But when, sir, I am observing, there is some third object which I fail to recognize.
Mhm. But let us
That
stick to
nose and cheek and eyes
uh,
represent its old, and a straight line from nose to cheek. That angle depicts the old age.
okay. I would keep this in this. I will just mute myself for some time for about 5 6 minutes, and I would request all of you to again look at it. Try to look like, for example, this is the long nose of the old woman. So I will take just a 5 minutes break, and you just look at it, and we will. I will get back to you at exactly 10:30.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, all of you. Let the discussion go on, because no, whatever you feel like thinking, and no, you can share your thoughts. Aditya. Yes.
Dear all, the nose and cheek and the straight line from nose to cheek, that angle, it at first sight it depicts just it's an old age person, and the eyes, I feel it's a lady, and when I am observing it number of times, some third object, I get confused. Otherwise, this cheek and nose and straight line, it seems just oldness of a person. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to contribute?
Sir, this is Chandra Rao, CNH.
Yeah, ma'am.
The lines are so drawn by the artist. The nose of the old woman, if you look at it intently, will look like the jaw of the young girl. It is up
Mm-hmm.
to us whether we want to keep that view in place, keep staring at the young woman, or when you shift your vision again, then it look like an old lady with lot of fur around her neck, a fur coat. Even for the young girl, there's a fur coat. I mean, it's the way
Excuse me,
you
sir.
want to look at it. Both visions keep exchanging one after another. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, that's
Excuse me,
great.
sir.
Yes, Lakshmikant Garu.
Sir, as per my observation, that young lady turned to her right side.
Mm-hmm.
That young lady turned to her right side, so we can see only one eye.
Okay. So you're talking about only one lady who is turning. Is it
Yes,
young or old? That's what there is another. That's another.
young lady.
Yes,
Young lady.
young lady. Okay.
Only cheek we can find, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Sir,
Usman.
sir,
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
sir, if the caption was not given, old woman or young lady, we
Hmm.
wouldn't have made an effort to see both.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Since the
That's right.
caption is there, we tried to find the both and we are able to find it.
No.
Otherwise,
What?
I think we would be like concentrating on only one image. So soon
Yeah.
after we saw one, I was able to see the other looking at the caption.
Yeah. There is a question mark there.
Mm.
Sir,
The
may I
question mark.
join?
Yeah. Please, sir. Please, sir.
Sir, just I make the screen still and reversed my handset, and from that view, it seems like there is some animal grazing, and it that fur type thing is seems some sheep is there. I may be wrong, but I made it still and turned the whole mobile upside down, and
Okay,
then.
okay, that's
Thank
a
you.
great job that you've done. That's what the perception is all about. So, what I'm talking about is that I was pointing out the same thing because we are going with the same straight line, or we are going with a blank line, or we are going with a back line, or we are talking about a multiple line. It depends on that how do we perceive things, rather. Okay, that depends on no because no, madam was asking that no, if at all there is a old woman or young woman could have seen in only one way. The other way is not there. Yes, Manas Kumar, sir.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, I want to say that the first part of that is the young lady, which is
Mhm.
stand backside. We are showing that backside of the young lady, and
Okay.
opposite to, if you see, that is the total body. If you see, that is only the head of the old woman. Total
Hair of
head
the
of the
old
old
woman.
woman.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, okay.
total head of the old woman. Because
Mhm.
only that lady part is you are only the face of the old woman. So that is where I have to percept, but only two lady. One is old, another is young. First one is young lady, which is standing
Mhm.
backside. We have seen the backside of the lady, and if you see the total picture, except the last two black spot is there, but I could not see that two black spot which is under the picture. But the whole body part, if you see the picture, that is the head of the young lady, because it is symptoms like that, the long nose and the eyes also something sprinkling kind of things. That cheek also some kind of shape, long cheek. So that's why I'm telling you that total body part, if you see, that is the old lady, head of the old lady. And if you see the only face part of the old lady, that is called, that is the young lady, which is standing backside to us. Okay, thank you. This is my
Okay,
observation.
I think most of you by now have formed some idea. I'm again sharing a link. Now in that link, you can click, and now I think the permission is there. Uh, are you able to see the link in the chat box? And now just click, I want a feedback whether this is working. You just click on that and the permission is there. So whatever you see, both young, old, now you just type in there.
Yeah, we are able to send, sir.
Just
Submit the form.
yeah, submit it. Then I can see the, yeah, submit it. So please submit, and now we'll see the. I will bring it here and share it with you. Uh, Now I'm sharing another link. This is the output link. If you just click it, you can see the output. Just tell me whether you are able to see the. Are you able to view the?
The same link is there, sir.
You've got the same link. Okay, okay. I will. I'll just check once again. Uh, Just a minute.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
Vishwas sir, okay, Vishwas. Is, can I help or anything you think is okay?
Are you able to see the picture once again? Because I just went out of it. Is it are you able to see?
No, 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 sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, okay. I'll just say present now or window. Okay. Is it now? Is it visible?
No, sir.
Yes, yes, it has come.
Sorry. That I lost something. I was trying to get your. But anyway, I will learn this later. But the point is that the result that I have now, 63% of people are able to see both. Only 8.2% see the old woman and 28.8% see only the young woman. But most people are able to see both. Do you see that there is a transformation that is taking place? Sir, madam, are you able to that
Yes,
you
sir.
are able
Yes,
to
sir.
most
Yes,
people
sir.
are able to see both? What it tells us? It tells us two, three things. Yes, there will be a difference among us. There will be a difference in the way we look at this world. But problem is, for some people, if they have seen the old woman, they have seen the world in certain manner, they hold on to it, they do not want to leave it. They say that this is the only right way of looking at this world. There is no alternative way of looking at this world. And that creates a problem. A good leader or a good teacher makes an effort to show what he or she sees. If you see the old woman, then you should be able to show to others what you see, that ability. Second ability is we should be open enough to see the other side of it. Are you getting this? So we should be open. If I am too restricted and I am not allowing myself to open up to new experiences, new ways of looking at it, I will always be half. You know, I work in a institute, Institute of Rural Management, Anand, Irma, and maybe sometimes I'll share our logo. Our logo is a half open lotus. So when I joined in 1992, I asked why this is half open lotus. It is not the full lotus, it is half open lotus. Then someone told me, so one professor, he smiled and he said that, okay, Shashwat, you don't know what it is. I'll tell you. But we in IRMA, we believe that we only have the half knowledge, half of it. The others with whom we are sharing our knowledge, they have the other half. That means our students, our participants, our MDP participants, our client organizations, they have other part of the knowledge. Only when they come with their knowledge and we come with our knowledge, when they are combined, we get the full lotus. Am I making sense? Is it?
Yes, sir.
Is it getting across? Am I making sense? Okay, because all the videos are off, so it's fine. So always we believe we need to see that, okay, what I see, what I have now is only half of the world, half of the view. I'm not getting the other half. But many people, or many of us, are too stuck upon this. The reality I see out there, that is the only reality that exists. Alternative realities cannot exist. And that's the truth, only truth. I have seen it, it is the truth. I'm reminded of a story that I heard when I was a young boy. My mother had told this story. So I'll share with you this story. And I find this story very inspiring. It opens up. You know, the story was like this. So there was a teacher, and he knew all the philosophies and other things. So he was going with a student. He had a student, like all of us have students. So he had a student and a young boy. The student was a young boy, about 19, 20 years old, and they were going on a pilgrimage. The student would always say, ask the teacher, sir, you say that is everything is relative in this world. Everything is relative. I don't understand. It is too philosophical. Can you give some example? Can you help me understand it? What is this relativism you are talking about? So the teacher smiled and said, someday I will teach you. Someday you'll get to, sorry, he did not say I will teach you. Someday we'll get to know about it. Sorry. He said that someday we'll get to know about it. So one day they're going on to some place, a distant place, they were walking. Those days there were no trains, no buses, no cars. So they were walking from their place home. And after some time, the teacher, maybe at the end of the day, the teacher said, look, son, I am very thirsty. Can you get me a glass of water? The student said, yes, sir, of course. Why not? Why don't you sit under that tree? I will go and fetch a glass of water for you. So the student runs. He runs for quite a distance because there was nothing around. And after running for quite a few kilometers, he comes across a huge garden. Then he gets into a garden, and inside the garden he finds a small little house in the corner. So he taps the door. After some time, lo and behold, a very beautiful girl opens the door. All smiles. The girl is about 18, 19 years old. And this our man looks at her and is bewitched. He had not seen such a beautiful girl ever in his life. And he is all turned. So the girl looks at him and smiles and says, sir, it seems that you are thirsty, you are tired. Why don't you come in? And he gets in, then she serves him water to drink, some fruits to eat. And they start talking. Now this man has fallen in love. The girl says that, look, my parents are no more. I tend to the garden and I sell this fruits and vegetables, whatever I am able to grow here. I'm all alone. And the boy, and requests the boy, can you stay back with me? The boy stays back. They get married. Now they have family. They have children. 1, 2, 3 years pass by. And the man is very happy. He has a wonderful family, a very beautiful wife, with very beautiful children, and he is earning very good money from the vegetable and fruits that he grows in his garden. He sells it. So he is happy, and he always says, "Thank you, Lord, that you have made me such. You have given me such a wonderful life." And all of a sudden, from nowhere, one day, tsunami-like water gushes in from everywhere. Wave after wave comes. One wave comes and takes away his treasure box. He says, "Oh God, what will happen?" Then another wave comes, takes away his children. He is crying. And suddenly, he holds his wife very tightly and says, Lord, I can't allow my wife to be swept away by the waves. And suddenly another wave comes, takes away his wife, his whips, is loosened. And he starts crying. He said, Oh Lord, what have you done? What have you done? And as he is there, he sees, he feels someone's hand. When he's crying, he feels someone's hand on his head. He opens his eyes and he sees that in the middle of a desert, he's sleeping on the lap of his guru, his teacher. And he looks at his guru. Oh teacher, I saw a dream. Teacher says, he smiles. The guru smiles. All gurus should be smiling. Says, was it a dream? Do you think it was a dream? Look, it was not a dream. You were there. The problem with you, my son, is that when you were there, you forgot my existence, that I existed. I am here, sitting for you. And when you are here, you say it was a dream. Both existed. You were there. Both existed. And we are together here now. This is reality now. But that does not mean that reality does not exist. The problem with you, that if you are in one reality, you forget that other simultaneous realities are existing. And that's the story, and it tells you that everything is relative. For example, what is comfort? What is sacrifice? All the meaning of these things. They are all relative. They are not same for everyone. A very hilarious thing, I remember it happened when I was as a student in Allahabad. That time, you know, Amitabh Bachchan, Sri Amitabh Bachchan, he was fighting the election as a member of parliament from our constituency, Allahabad constituency. And he was not, so there was an announcement that he will come and give a lecture. So he could not come. His younger brother, Amitabh Bachchan, he came to address the crowd. All students were sitting. So he started saying that my brother, elder brother, Sri Amitabh Bachchan ji, he has struggled a lot in his life, very much. So all students were, all of us were students. Our university had something like 35,000 students. And out of that 35,000 students, I am sure on that day, about 15,000 students must have been present there. And everyone was asking what sort of struggle Sri Amitabh Bachchan ji did when he was young. He said, look, when he was in Calcutta, he struggled a lot. He did not have a car to go to his office. So all of us were waiting very eagerly to listen to how Sri Amitabh Bachchan ji used to go to his office from home. So we were eagerly waiting to listen it from Sri Amitabh Bachchan. And Sri Amitabh Bachchan said, you know, he was struggling so much. He did not have money to buy a car. He was going by taxi. And to this, all students, those who were sitting there, we started laughing. Because from our point of view, at that point in time, traveling in a taxi was a luxurious option. Because most of us had not seen a taxi, sat inside a taxi by that time. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's such a relative concept. For
Yes, sir.
Amitabh Bachchan at that time, that was a struggle that his elder brother used to go to his office in a taxi. For us, it was hilarious. So everyone started laughing. I said, what is this? Is that a struggle? So it is relative. Okay. For some of us, those days, having a two-wheeler was a great thing. It was a great luxury if you have had access to a two-wheeler. None of us had. I had a bicycle. And for some people, that today many children will not understand that how great. So what a charm when you have a two-wheeler for yourself. We had to wait till we get a job to get a two-wheeler for ourselves. Now children may be having it. The point is, it is relative. This concept is relative. Everything, every concept, whether it is comfort, whether it is greed, everything is relative. What is essential for life for some people are luxury for some other people, and we'll have to understand. And otherwise, we cannot be empathic. We will be like that proverbial, the Queen of France, who said when people were going hungry, she said they are not getting bread. Well, if they are not getting bread, why they can't have a cake to eat? When we are not sensitive to this, we become unempathetic. So there are always, it is relative, and we should. Are you able to see this picture? This next picture? A face or faces? Do you see that picture?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what do you see?
There
Two
is a
faces.
two things. There are two people looking at each other, and there is also a impression of a glass.
Great, great. A glass or two faces. Now, the point is, when you see the glass, the dark side, the black portion becomes the background. And when you see the faces, the white becomes the background. So we call it figure ground relationship. There is a figure ground because of the contrast effect. There is a yes, CNA Chandra. You want to say something?
No, sir. No, sir. I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
So these are what we call is a figure ground relationship. The point is, if the dark portion becomes the background and white becomes the foreground, that is the figure, you cannot see both at the same time. One has to go to background, other. This usually happens to all of us. Then what we focus, what is our interest, that becomes that takes the foreground. What is our concept, that becomes and everything else becomes a background, but we cannot see both at the same time. But with little trying, with if you try a bit more, you will be able to see both. Are you getting this? Are you able to do that? Now, sir, at the beginning, you might have seen a vase and a face, and both you cannot see together. But as you look again and again at it, are you able to see both?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can see. So first, it is difficult to see both. Something else becomes background, but through our consciousness, human consciousness, if you become conscious, then you develop the ability to see both at the same time. Though normally it is not available to people. For that we need practice. For that we need to focus. It will not come naturally to you. It will not come naturally to you, because evolutionary psychology say that when we were growing up in the jungle, we would concentrate on the animal that we would like to hunt. And that becomes the focus, because if you cannot focus, so everything else becomes background, and that becomes the focus. So that is how, like Arjuna only saw the eye of the fish, or the bird, eye of the bird, and nothing else. Everything becomes background. That is good for concentration. But when we deal with each other, when we deal in a social setting, it is very important to be conscious of both. That okay, this is the background, this is the foreground, but both exist. I'll show you some other picture, just a minute. What do you see here? You see a curve? Do you see a curve? A curve, it's a curve that it's not flat, but it is. Yeah. So it is a two-dimensional space, but you see a curve here. It's a two-dimensional space. But why do you see a curve here? That's the second question. Why do you see a curve here?
So because the squares are made narrower, you get that impression, that illusion that there is a curve.
Any other? Very good. Any other?
It looks as if it is not the point of origin is very far, so that we are not able to see. So I think it is shown as a curve. 15C1D0020. Option Hyderabad, Anwarul College.
May I join, sir?
Yes. Yes,
sir.
Dr.
That part of the chessboard is compressed. Their width are made narrow, and therefore it is illusion that it is a something inner part. Otherwise, it's plain two-dimensional part.
Okay. There are 2-3 things involved here. I'll just explain to you, and then we will discuss its implications. First is that our sense organs only sends us the signals. It does not do any interpretation. Interpretation is done by our brain, and while interpreting, it organizes in certain ways. So attention, organization, and then interpretation. And this interpretation, so first it pays attention, then it organizes, because the way we have evolved, that evolution has given us a way to organize it. And the last part is interpretation. When we interpret, that's the most human thing that we do when we interpret. We use our memory and, of course, whatever we have got through evolutionary process. Now, what happens? There are certain standard things that we follow. You can see the first three columns are perfect squares. Do you see that? The first 2 to 3 columns are squares. Do you see them as squares?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
They are squares. But as you go forward, they are not squares, they are all rectangles. And they are decreasing in size, as you have already noted. But what happens to brain? Brain is exposed to the squares. Are you getting this? So the brain is exposed to the squares. So brain has retained the impression that these are squares, this has to be square. But they are not squares. So the brain fools itself by telling itself that, look, these are actually squares, but the squares have been bent. When you have, because your past memory knows when the square, when you used to live in the jungle, you know that when a square is bent, it looks like a rectangle, but actually it is square because it is bent. You only see the rectangle. Therefore, it tries to see something which does not exist. At one point in time, this ability had saved you in the jungle. But today, this ability, that means you seeing what does not exist, this ability actually is an impediment. Are you getting this? So you see, based on your first exposure, square, so brain has written it is square, and you are hooked onto that it is square. When it is, then you say these are actually squares. Brain tells itself these are actually squares, but squares have been bent, so you are seeing rectangle. So you see a bend which does not exist. We call it an illusion. Are you getting this? In real life, we do the same mistake with people, with other things. We see, because we have certain notions. While growing up, we have developed a notion that people with mustaches are like this. People without mustaches are like this. People who are fat are like this. People who are slim are like this. We develop notion, and this is what, because it is my grandfather's grandfather had told me. And we you know, very common stereotypes. I'll tell you some common stereotypes that we have about, and these are so ingrained. They are so ingrained in our brain that we are not able to break it. For example, you have these notions. May all of us have notions that, okay, Bengalis are like this, Odias are like this, Gujaratis are like this, Marwadis are like this, Telugus are like this, Tamilians are like this. We have all this notion. And that's a very interesting thing. I am reminded that usually, what about Bengali food habits? What is the stereotype we have about Bengali food habits? Can anyone say here?
Sweets, more of sweets.
March and Mishti.
Potato in every dish.
Sir, what is the majority of the people who think that Bengali will have this particular type of food most of the days?
Mishti, dahi and rasgulla.
March and Mishti.
Every day you don't eat rasgulla. Every day.
Fish, sir. Fish.
Fish. Yes. Now, people have this notion that all Bengalis are fish eaters, and most Bengalis are fish eaters. So I remember when we used to go, my mother would come here, and we had gone to someone and invited us, and that person was from Kerala, and they had made a very delicious fish and chicken and mutton and all that, and served us. So, and then suddenly I realized my mother was sitting like this and will not partake the food. Then I had to tell my host that, you see, my mother is a complete, I eat everything, but my mother is a complete vegetarian. She does not have garlic or onion also. Then she says that, but you said that you are a Bengali. I said, yes, we are a Bengali, but that's what my mother does. She does not eat any non-vegetarian food. Now the point is that we often commit mistakes because we have certain notions and they are inbred and they are very difficult to get rid of our mind. I'll give you another story how this is. Shushmaji, there's some background noise, I think, coming from there. If you can just mute your... Okay. I remember, there was some time back, there was a Hindi movie, I think some 15, 16 years back. I don't remember exactly. I guess it must be more than that, 20 years back. There was a film called Border, a Hindi film called Border. So maybe 20 years back it had come. I don't remember exactly. So I remember that my elder son was very small. He was a young boy, maybe he was 6, 7 years old. And the Border, after watching Border, something happened to him. He started saying that Pakistanis are bad people. Pakistanis are bad people. And I did not want him to have any strong stereotypes against any person or any group. I said, no, they are people like us. We have children, family, they also have that. So they are people like us. Maybe there is a fight going on at a political, military level, that's different, but ordinary Pakistanis are like ordinary Indians. But he would not accept. Because somehow from the movie, he got this notion and it was very strong. And once the children get such a notion, it is very difficult to get rid. So what happened, it was a coincidence at that time that one person, we used to, those days in Irma, we used to have a program called International, it was an international program, IC, International Cooperative Alliance Program. participants of many different countries used to come for that program. So I was teaching in that program, and incidentally in that program, one Pakistani gentleman had come. And he was a very nice person. He was from Multan, I remember. So we were discussing, then I told him, sir, my son has developed this notion about Pakistanis, and you need to help change. Then he said, okay, no problem. I'll change his view about Pakistanis. So one day I invited him for a cup of tea to my place, and he came. And then when he was coming, I had announced at home that one Pakistani gentleman will be coming to have tea with us. So when he was coming in, my son was there near the kitchen. He looked at the Pakistani. Papa, Pakistani, boom! I said, no, don't worry, nothing will happen. He came in. Some or other, I could get my son to come near him. I said, this is uncle and this is my son. And then they started talking. He said that I have a daughter of your age. And then they started talking. And after some time, they became very friendly and they were playing carom. And then he asked about his school and all that. And then my son was very happy. When he was leaving, I could see his face was beaming. So after about an hour or so, he left. And after he left, I asked my son, how did you find this uncle from Pakistan? He said, very nice. Then I said, now that you know he is very nice, you will not say that Pakistanis are bad people. No, Papa, he was a different type of Pakistani. Are you getting this? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That he is a different type of Pakistani. You know, if you have something in your mind, if you meet a person who is very different from the common stereotypical notion, but what happens to you? You don't say that, okay, this I cannot generalize. You say he is a different type of person. We see it as an exception. We see it as an exception, and that's a problem. Forming notions about people, about things, and until and unless, for example, we have several notions, because my grandfather had told them, it has been coming down the generation. Oh, it is so bad. It is not right. Okay. Now, these notions, they are, maybe at some point in time it was helpful. When we used to live in bands, small bands, maybe these were good. But now, these actually come on our way in assessing, evaluating, understanding people. In order to understand people, we need to take out all those different colored lenses. I'll show you something else here. And in the big, I request all of you, and a glass corner. I request all of you, please keep asking questions, and if you have any doubt or something that you could not follow, and I would like this to be more interactive. Of course, I know there are problems, technical problems, but please. Oh, I have got good answers. I'll post to. Sorry, I did not. Fantastic. So here, there are two orange-colored dots surrounded by light bluish colored dots. Which orange color? Suppose, sorry, I forgot to give A and B. There's a big circle, a small circle. So which orange colored dot is bigger?
Smaller one is bigger, sir.
Both are same.
And Nandini, I saw you saying something. you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Sir, both are same.
Both are same, sir.
Yes.
One is closer, one is far, sir.
But you see, apparently, the orange color surrounded by small circles look bigger.
Yes, sir.
They look bigger. But orange color surrounded by big circles look small. And this is relative. Problem is we do not understand it. A person, for example, let me tell you this. A person who, suppose you are getting two students. I'll tell you because I can, some of you can empathize with this. The two students coming. One student A, who comes from a very deprived background. He did not have access to good schools, so he went to the village school run by the panchayat, studied in a particular medium of instruction. And then there is another boy who went to a very elite school and has done, very good, well in school, and comes to you, both A and B. When you compare them, are you getting this? What actually you look at, and what do you say about the students? When you compare, what happens actually in real life? I'm asking. Huh?
Yes.
Usually.
Usually their communication may be different, sir.
Exactly. Sandat, you got it so right. And problem with us is that the fellow who talks smartly, the fellow who knows to give you the appropriate stimulations, non-verbal stimulations, you appreciate, you say, this boy is so intelligent.
Exactly.
Other fellow may be equally intelligent, but because of the unfortunate situation of the person not being part of that circle, is not to express.
Actually,
Sorry. I someone was saying something. I missed out.
మీ క్లాస్ మొత్తం సెల్ఫ్ సెంటర్ ఏనా
So we
అడిగిన వాళ్ళ అందరూ నాకు గ్రూప్ లో నాకు మెసేజ్ చేయండి
what happens to us, we do not compare equals with equals. Yes, Rinky Sandal, I see you want to say something.
Sir, both are same orange dots. They both have the same potential. But one is highlighted with such big problems that it looks small. And the other problem are so less that it gets highlighted and it becomes brilliant, excellent. And we say that student is so good. But both have the same potential. Our perspective is different for looking at it.
In fact, a lot of research has been done on this, that how evaluators evaluate. And the results were that when we see, for example, we only see the externalities. Many times, unconsciously, our unconscious mind works on those externalities. Like, for example, what sort of thing that I am wearing, what sort of my hairstyle, everything actually contributes to your, and how I speak, how I express display my gestures, all this, my non-verbal communication, all these have an impact, which is part of the nurturing and has got nothing to do with my intellectual capability. But often people who are, for example, there has been in India, there have been studies done, and they have found very systematically that in many higher education places, when students are not able to articulate things in, say, English properly, or some student speaks very good English, the fellow who speaks very good English is often interpreted as more intelligent than the fellow who does not. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
And this sort of biases, any response on this? You can use the chat box also. Huh? So we will have to be very careful. We'll have to that. Am I committing a mistake by judging, by looking at things or judging from the angle which is actually not pertinent to what I am judging? Because in the terms of evaluation or judgment, we often commit this mistake. So I'll just go to another. Now there are in perception, in psychologists, we call it gesture psychology, and gesture psychologists have come up with some. They used to call it laws, but though they behave like laws, but this is the one we call it a law of growth. Now here, what do you see? How many triangles you see here? Yes, the question for all of you. How many triangles?
Two.
Yes, Chandra, you are right. Answer
Four.
So you might be seeing two triangles. One is this, one is straight triangle, another is upside down. So you may see two triangles, but ask yourself, are there two triangles? There's only one triangle. These are all half-finished picture. But why do you see two triangles? You see two triangles because brain, you will have to understand how the brain functions. The brain always wants to see symmetry. It wants to fill in because, when we were evolving as human beings in the jungles, we only had slight information. For example, within the grass, behind the grass, you see some yellow thing moving. From that movement itself, you will have to, what you do? You immediately visualize there must be a tiger. To save yourself, you will have to work on half information. You cannot afford to see the full tiger and then run away. You can see only some yellow thing moving. From that, you will have to inform that there is a tiger. You will have to run away. Are you getting this? And this filling the gap has saved us. It has had a great function during our survival in the jungle. We call it the filling the gap function. It evolved with us. And because it evolved, we are able to save ourselves from dangers. But now, for the last 10,000 years, when we are living in civilization, those things are not needed so much. They become an impediment. We see things that are not there. There is no upside down triangle here. There is no upside down triangle here. But you see the upside down triangle because your brain fills up the gaps based on your past experience. And by filling up the gap, you may be committing a mistake. For example, in many places I have seen people ask, what is your name? They ask me many times. I say Shashwat in many places. So they said, what is your full name? I said, I am Shashwat. You understand the meaning of Shashwat? So, though I am not, I don't have that quality, but there is a meaning, it's eternal. So, but why they want to ask, why most, when you are traveling in train, particularly in train people talk, but when you are traveling in train, why people ask for your full name? Or many places they ask for your full name. Why is it so?
They are curious about our religion and caste.
They want to fill in the blanks. They want to fill in the blank. Blank is they want to assess you. They want to evaluate you. Human beings are so curious to evaluate. We want to evaluate others. And how does this evaluation take place? Because I have some notion about caste groups. And I have some notion about religious groups. I have some notion about certain linguistic groups. So if I know the full name, if I say Shashwat, they may know my religion, maybe probably. But I have a relative, my cousin, his name is Stalin Khan. Now it is up to you to find out which caste group he belongs to, or which religious group he belongs to. So people try to fill up these gaps. And by filling up this gap, they attribute all those qualities that they think those groups have to this person. Oh, you are this. Filling up the gap we are doing, we should be conscious of it. Am I filling up a gap which actually, do I see things that does not exist? Human beings actually ascribing meaning to things that are actually in reality. For example, we found out the zodiac signs in the sky. Okay, this meaning has been ascribed by us, and we see things that does not exist. In the sky, there is no zodiac signs. Zodiac signs. There are no zodiac signs. But we interpret, we give a meaning to it that these are zodiac signs. And that becomes at times problematic. Similarly, like filling up the gaps. You can call it illusion. You can call it filling up the gaps. Second is that same thing. Love continuity. You see two lines here. And these darker shades, they are grouped. Like for example, when you see this as a continuous loop, and you do not see the white, that you see that these are the darker circles. So we generally try to find out what is the smoothest track, what is the what flows, and that creates. Here I will ask you a question on the chat box, and you will have to immediately answer, less than 30 seconds. Okay, you got the question? Quick. I want immediate answers. Don't calculate. Use your pen and paper. Just mind and great. I got all 10s. Very good. Very good. Because the time is up. Even if you now do that, I will not look at it. Do you see a mistake here? And I will ask you why the mistake has been committed. 10, 10, 10, 10. Most people. No. It costs Devasmita, this is not right. Devasmita Panigrai, this is not right. It costs nothing because it's together. No. It costs something because one costs some more than other. So, but usually our here will be reaction will be that it is 10 rupees, which is not. The correct answer is 5. The correct answer is 5. I'll write it here. Correct answer is 5. But why people commit, most of us will commit this mistake. But why do we commit this mistake? Can anyone say this? Any idea why? And this is a mistake most people. I'll tell you No, now Ramesh Babu, I have already given the answer, so there is no need. So it actually the answer is 5, but why people commit a mistake? Why most people will say 10? And that's very normal. Normally people will say 10. Why is it so? My question is, why is it so? Actually, I don't need any answers now. It is the time is up. I have already given the answer. So there is no need for the answer on the chat box. But now I am asking you a question. Answer that question. That why it occurred? Why do you think it has happened?
The question itself, it is not clear. It shows that 100 more. Whether it is 100 times or percentage, it is not given. So we make it.
Actually, I have not
addition.
given the units. I should have written rupees, but I wanted to type faster. But you can.
So the question says.
Yes.
The question says it is 100 more, so it can be 5 or 6 or 7, I think. It's not exactly 10. We are thinking 100 more is exactly we are attributing 100.
Ma'am, you calculate later. If a bat and ball together cost 110 rupees and the bat costs 100 rupees more than the ball, the answer will be 5 only. There will be only one answer. It cannot be 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 6. It can be only 5. You can do a simple algebra on this. So you see, x plus y is equal to 110. X minus y is equal to 100. So you put as so 2x is equal to 10, so x is equal to 5. So that's I'll not get into mathematics arithmetic class, but the point is this is a very simple arithmetic in the class 4 5 people do. But why most people commit a mistake? I'm asking that. I'll tell you a story behind it later. But our first question is why people commit this mistake. Yes, Nandini Mukherjee, I think you.
Because you gave a time constraint, so what we are having is three information, two numbers, 110 and 100, and that cost is 100 more than the ball. So we are speaking of.
You focus on 10. It's a selective perception. In fact, there's a person. Let me now tell you the facts behind this. There's a person called Daniel Kahneman. And Daniel Kahneman is, I think I told about him, but again I am bringing him here. He got a Nobel Prize in economics for economics in 2000, and he laid a foundation of a discipline called behavioral economics. Though he is a psychologist, he never studied economics. He said, purposefully, I never studied economics because studying economics would have contaminated my mind. So he's a pure psychologist. And he came up with, he said that these are the heuristic biases in decision making most people commit. Because we selectively pay attention to certain things and do not pay attention to certain things. Once we are conscious of those heuristic biases, because when we used to live in the jungle, our heuristic biases used to help us take decisions. So he says that our automatic system of thinking, it helped us. But now we need to go out of it. We need to, and he wrote a book, an excellent book, and I would request, because all of you are teachers, and you should read this book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow by Daniel Kahneman. It is available on Amazon, and you can have a look at it. And it's said that these are the several cognitive biases we have, and we are not. And he did his experiments with the Ivy League students in the colleges where they were enrolled in courses like economics and statistics and mathematics. And in those students, he found they are committing the simple errors when they are asked to calculate it fast. And he says that heuristic biases, because our brain takes certain shortcuts. It depends on shortcuts. But problem is, in most of the time, in our real life, the shortcuts in thinking, shortcuts in evaluating, shortcuts in assessing a person causes a problem, and we may take a very different route to it. We may commit such blunders because of this. People, I'll give you an example. We talked about the commitment. When brain has committed something, it does not want to see the other way. It is already, because it is now married to that idea, and that idea is mine. In order to be more, I'll give you an example, a real life example. You can check it on Google. A very interesting thing that happened. You know, this Britishers and French people, they wanted to develop a flight called Concorde. Have you heard of this Concorde flights, Concorde aircrafts? It was a huge project that it will, the Concorde aircraft traveled much faster, 2 times faster than the speed of wind, Mach, speed of sound, speed of sound, 2 Mach, 3 Mach, speed at which they could fly. They knew it was not commercially viable. It was never commercially viable, but they went on and on spending money on this, huge money, and you can check on Google. And it all happened, and this governments did it. Not because of anything else. They thought they had a brilliant idea. By that time, there are evidences were coming against it. Problem with that is, even if you are presented with an evidence against it, like I presented an evidence that okay, Pakistanis are not so bad people, my son did not accept it. I have sold into an idea, we get sold to that idea, and we don't think in alternative ways, and that is where. But now I see Dr. Nilbada Panda gearing up, so I get an indication that it is time to take a break. But I will take 4 more minutes, Dr. Panda. I go by the clock here. I'm very conscious of the clock.
Thank you, sir. I know that.
Conscious of the clock. Here, I cannot, I'll not exceed. I am not those teachers who will exceed. But anyway, I look at the clock once in a while. Now, I will just show you. Reality, we often, reality is very complex. You see, what you see these 4 or 5 circles, very famous symbol. And you see 5 circles. Are there 5 circles? No, there are no 5 circles. Check. There are no 5 circles. But it resembles, you think your mind fills up, mind says there are 5 circles, because we try to reduce our reality around us into the most simplest form that we think. And by simplifying, we also lose the nuanced. Like most scientists would know that in real life, things are not so simple. Things are very nuanced. And those nuances will have to be understood. For example, laws of proximity. Now, whether you see in column form or vertical form, one you see as a column in a column form, another vertical form. Why do you see that? Why don't we see it in here, the vertical, in three columns? Here we see 2 columns. Why don't we see it in 3 vertical forms? Horizontal. Horizontal forms. Why don't we see that? Because objects, this is a law of proximity. Each other tend to be grouped together. Who are people? 2 people are going together. You group them together. And this is where I will stop, take a break. And if you have, I have 2 minutes. If you have any question, either you tell me or some noise disturbing. Anyway, you can ask me, or you can put it on the chat box. Okay. Yes, ma'am. You want to say something?
Yes, sir.
Any comments at this point in time before we come back? Okay, no comments. So I think I will close it. And Dr. Panda, It is about 20 minutes break. It's a 20 minutes break.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
I have a question.
Aja, Akshay Das. Akshay Das, I hear you.
Yes. Sir, how perception influence emotional intelligence? Can you explain, sir? How perception influence emotional intelligence?
That's what I was going to. That the way, if you are a creature of all the heuristic biases, all the perceptual, what we call perceptual blocks that I have explained so far, then you cannot work as an emotionally intelligent person, because emotional intelligence requires you to emotional intelligence emotional intelligence requires you to focus on both the sides. Focus on things beyond that. Don't run away just by seeing, don't interpret just by seeing one, there's no triangle, but you see a triangle. You should be conscious of it, that there is no triangle. You do not work on half information. You try to find what is that is missing. You try to infer based on certain logic. And that is where emotional intelligence comes in. That it tries to understand those underlying factors. You don't fall prey to the limited heuristic, the heuristics that you use to solve day-to-day problems. Okay, so that is how it is connected. So first is perception. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
How to tune ourselves to be open to everything, sir, not to form an opinion about anything.
No, I'm not saying that you will not form an opinion. You will certainly form an opinion. Certainly form an opinion. What Daniel Kahneman says.
Sir, I just want to ask you how to tune ourselves that we should not judge everyone or anything very fastly.
Okay. So what you do, because there is a tendency in us to immediately jump to a conclusion, to find the answer first and do it fast. So Daniel Kahneman suggests. Daniel Kahneman suggests that instead of jumping immediately to a conclusion, immediately making and forming an opinion, you will have to what he said, think slow. You will have to look at. So think slow means when you think about it, reflect on that, spend some time. That say that okay, this is not a life and if it is not a life and death question, if it should not be done immediately, you know what happens. I'll give you another. That human beings, when they think they start thinking very fast, or they take a fast decision, they attribute, which I will come later in my lecture, I will come to, they attribute to themselves that I am very intelligent. Look, I have solved this problem so fast. But the person does not understand that he or she has committed a great blunder by thinking, doing, acting so fast. Always in life, you need not act so fast. You need to reflect. You need to think what are going to be consequences. Like for example, many political actions, I am not a political, I don't make any political, but many actions, if certain actions in certain, say, governments across the world, if they were not so fast in taking those actions, they would have reflected. They could have stopped lot of turmoil, lot of loss of life. Instead, they acted very fast. Like I am reminded of the Vietnam War, which unnecessarily US got involved for no reason. It had not affected US at all. But it got involved. There was a huge loss of life, huge loss of resources. World actually went backward and nothing came out for US. So therefore, acting fast is, and there's a Bay of Pigs crisis. There's a great crisis. Maybe I'll talk something about it later, maybe. The point is that you need to, and that is where emotional intelligence comes in. emotional intelligence comes in, that you have the ability, you need to actually practice not to take a decision immediately. Otherwise, we are always tempted to take immediate decision. Postpone it, think about it. I will sleep over it. I will sleep over that thing for one night. I will allow it to sleep, and that is how it will go. So I will take a break now. It's already 4:44. So we'll come back.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a break. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, all of you, and we shall meet at 10 minutes break. 11:50, we will be meeting back. Okay, we'll meet at 11:55. Is that okay, all of you? Thank you.
Okay, sir.